You ever wonder why some of the top selling insurance agents or salespeople in your organization, on your team, can make it look so effortless? Like, I'm talking, these people just seem to keep dominating the leaderboards week after week, just like I did back in my old company. I'll show you why, especially using my profit framework if you've been around this channel. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe. But I'll show you why these people get exponentially farther ahead. Here's the thing. You're gonna look for examples to prove me wrong with what I'm about to show you. I guarantee you that you can. Here's what we learned in neuro-linguistic programming called the NLP communication model. This is how we process information. If you understand this, you're not gonna make 100K. You're not gonna make 200K. You're gonna be on the track to like 7 figures if you understand and adopt this principle. Okay, this works. There's 8 billion people in the world. You're not gonna be the first to prove it wrong. Okay, I can guarantee you that. You have yourself, right? This is you. And what happens is you see some facts. These are the facts. This is an outside circumstance or like whatever it is, it's a piece of information. Our brain processes about 90,000 thoughts a day. Now consciously, nowhere near that, but we process about 11 to 13 million bits of information per second. Some people say, Mason, no, it's 16 million. Either way, we break that down to about 126 bits, or 7 plus or minus 2 chunks. That's not important for right now. But what happens is we see or we hear facts, and what we do is we focus. So we put a frame. We put a frame around the fact. This causes our focus in our head. All right, now what you focus on can either be negative or you can focus on the positive. Now here's my question for you. Have you ever wrote on a one-sided sheet of paper? You ever flipped a one-sided coin or drink from a one-sided bottle? No. Why is that? Because it doesn't, not that even it doesn't exist, it can't exist. When you focus on the positive, what happens is our brain comes over here. This is what's called an internal representation in NLP. But what we're gonna call it is a belief. So based on the fact we see, it creates the focus and the frame in our head that creates the belief that we have, all right? It's how we see what's going on. That's why 2 people can see a car wreck and walk away with 2 totally different experiences. 2 people can see the same movie and walk away with totally different experiences. Why? Because we're all different. We all process information differently based on all of our filters, our meta models, all of that stuff. But that's besides the point. Just understand we delete, generalize, and distort almost everything that comes through unconsciously. This is programming. Your programming is responsible for about 80 to 90% of the results you're getting. Mason, I keep trying to do different. You're not gonna beat your programming with willpower. You have to override it with emotion, and I'll show you how. Because I'll show you how this applies to the sale, but first you must understand the model. So if we focus on the positive, this creates what's known as faith. But here's the thing, if the focus that you have is negative, you will manufacture a belief of doubt. Some of you might say, well, Mason, doubt is the absence of belief. No, it is not. Faith is a belief in an outcome I expect to be desirable. Doubt is focusing on what I do not want. Faith is focusing on what I do want. That's the own difference. Doubt is focusing on the negative. Faith is focusing on the positive. Now here's what happens. Most people, when things are going good, all they focus on is the positive. When it's summer, people just want to woo-woo party and go hang out with hoes. What they fail to realize is that winter is coming. I'm telling you, winter is coming right now. For you, your family, your business, if you do not make enough money to get out of this country when things go to shit, if they do, I hope I'm wrong, I hope you call me an idiot. That's besides the point. At least I cared enough to tell you. But when things are going negative, you should focus on the positive. When things are going positive, you should focus on the negative, like squirrels in the summer. They're stockpiling nuts for winter. So here's the thing. Faith is like a traveling salesperson or like a salesman, saleswoman, whatever you want to call them. And faith creates a feeling in the heart. Let's use the red. I don't want to break the whiteboard out much, but it's time to take you to school. This is how everybody works. You're not gonna prove me wrong. So don't even try to stress yourself out trying to find something. This is the key to making as much money as you want. I will turn you into a human ATM. So when you focus on the positive and it creates faith, that faith goes down into your heart and it creates a feeling. What is that feeling? Anticipation. So when you focus on the positive, it creates faith in your heart of anticipation. That feeling of anticipation, I'll show you what it does here in a minute. But most people, what they're gonna do is they're gonna focus on the negative. Something's gonna happen. they lose a sale, they focus on what's me, they manufacture a belief of doubt. That doubt travels down into their heart. You know what that creates? Anxiety. Now, what is anticipation? It's like, oh my God, I can't wait. When you used to open Christmas presents, me and my brothers would always sneak into my grandparents' closet, and if we saw that we were gonna get the presents that we asked Santa Claus for, we were jacked out of our mind. When I saw my new Power Rangers sitting there and the figurines, I was like, no way, like Grandma got us this, and Dad and Mom, like Santa Claus is the best. Then I found out, I'm not even gonna ruin it just in case your little kids are watching. Listen to your parents, kids. And go ahead and gather all the family around. This is the most PG-13 video I'll ever make. So anticipation is focusing on an outcome we expect to be desirable. We expect an outcome that we want, and so we try to rush towards it. We try to do everything we can to get there right now, try to instantly gratify ourselves. Anxiety is that feeling of like, I wanna procrastinate, I wanna delay this as long as possible. Like when I noticed one of my first girlfriends back when I was an idiot in high school, I was in love with this girl. And I noticed we started to drift apart, and I started trying to do everything I could in my power to pull her closer to me. And inadvertently what would happen is she would get farther and farther away. Like the more I tried to pull her in, the harder she would push back, just like your clients will with you, and I'll show you why here in a minute. And so I tried to delay the inevitable. I tried to lose the chess game as slow as I could. I tried to pull the Band-Aid off as slow as possible rather than just ripping it off and dealing with it right there. So when you focus on what you don't want, you create doubt that travels into your heart and creates a feeling of anxiety. But when you focus on what you do want, the focus in your head creates the faith in your heart that creates the anticipation. This is how this works. These are the beliefs that you manufacture. They create the feelings. This is what's known as physiology. It's your internal state. It's how you feel. Most people try to hard work and they try to override their emotions with willpower, and it doesn't work. Why I get what I want is because I use my beliefs to focus on how good it's gonna feel when I get where I want to go. And here's the thing, when your attitude's right, the facts don't matter. And someone's like, oh, what do you mean, Mason? They don't matter? Like a little bit? No, they don't matter at all. And so what happens after that is when you focus on the positive, it creates a faith in your heart that creates the anticipation, and that anticipation creates the function in your hands. This is your behavior. And when you create the positive in your head and you create the belief of faith, it creates the feeling of anticipation in your heart, it creates the function in your hands. You're like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, you can do this. And it creates power. Now, when you focus on the negative, what you don't want to happen, while ignoring the positive of the same thing. Nothing is one-sided. As above, so below. It is what we've heard all these cute sayings, but no one tells you what they mean. This is a principle. It's how everyone works. And when you focus on the negative, the focus in your head creates the doubt. It manufactures a belief of doubt. So when you focus on this, it manufactures a belief of doubt that creates anxiety. And what is anxiety? It's a perceived fear, because our brain does not understand the difference between a real experience and a perceived or an imagined experience. And so a lot of agents, a lot of salespeople say, Mason, I have a fear of failure. No, you don't, because what you're doing right now isn't working. And so if this doesn't work, what's it matter? You have one more thing to check off the list of things that don't work. Nothing's gonna change if it doesn't work. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And so when you focus on anxiety, you try to procrastinate, you create function of your hands of powerlessness. You can't move, you stay stuck. For all of you dealing with imposter syndrome and all that BS, that's what you're going through. You're focusing on what you do not want to happen. That's it.